Good morning. Today we will discuss about the kidney. Kidney are the pair of the excretory organ lying into the posterior abdominal wall, and it mainly filter the bloods to remove the waste product. Here you can see this is the liver, this is the left lobe, this is the right lobe, this is the stomach, this one is a transverse colon, and here you can see this is a transverse mesocolon. And I have in situ dissected the pancreas, and just behind to this pancreas we have removed the peritoneum. It is the posterior abdominal wall. The organ, it is the kidney. So the kidney, it is a pair of excretory organ lying into the both side, right, and this is the right, on that side it is the right side, and this is the left side. It is a pair of excretory organ lying into the posterior abdominal wall. It is a retroperitoneal organ on the side of the vertebral column. Here you can see this is a midline, it is a vertebral column. In extend from the T12 vertebra, it extends superiorly from the T12 vertebra near the opening of the, here you can see this is the opening of the abdominal aorta. It is the median arcuate ligament, and this is a left crus of the diaphragm. This is the left crus of the diaphragm. Here you can see, and this is the left crus of the diaphragm, and this is a median arcuate ligament. So it is nearly extend from the T12 to the L3 level, and the right kidney, it is slightly lower than the left kidney because of the right lobe of the liver, which is larger. That's why the right kidney, which is slightly lower than the left lobe of the liver. Here you can see this is the right kidney. So right kidney is lower than the left kidney due to the presence of the right lobe of liver, which is large as compared to the long axis, which is directed downwards, and it is the laterally, it is the long axis normally it is directed downwards and laterally. Here because of we remove the renal fat and peritoneum, that's why it is parallel, but it is downwards and laterally. And the medial upper end, which is lies more nearer to the midlines than the lateral end. So the upper pole, which is nearer to the vertebral column than the lower pole, and the transverse axis, which is directed downwards and laterally. Transverse axis, which is directed downwards as well as it is laterally, it is the transverse axis. So dimension, it is nearly 10 to 12 centimeter in length. It has a 5 to 6 centimeter in breadth and 3 centimeter in thickness. It has a weight nearly around 250 grams, nearly 20 grams, which is 130 to 170 gram. It is the weight. In female, it is comparatively less weight as compared to the male, and the shape, it is the bean shape. Here you can see it is the bean shape. It is a shape of the kidney. So this is about to the general features of the kidney. Now we will discuss about the covering of the kidney. The first covering around to the kidney, which is adherent to the from within to outward, it is the first layer. It is called the fibrous capsule. Fibrous capsule, it is a condensation of the stroma of the kidney. It covers the kidney entirely, line the wall of the kidney, and on the medial aspect, which is covered to the renal sinuses, and also it covers to the major calyces and minor calyces, inner sides. So it is the in living human being, it is a easily strip. It is a fibrous capsule. Around to it, there is a one fat we have removed here for the better visualization. We have removed. So it is a perirenal fat. It is next to the fibrous capsule. It is filled with the renal sinus also. Here there is a renal sinus, which is also fill up with the perirenal fat, along with the abundant along the borders, both the borders. This is the lateral border and this is the medial border. Now the external features of the kidney I will just this is the upper pole and it is related with the supraanal gland. This is along with the supraanal gland. So this is the upper pole and this is the lower pole. It has an anterior surface which is the two surface, anterior surface which is the convex and posterior surface which is flat as compared to the anterior surface. And another things, it is a medial border which is due to the it is concave due to the hilum, and this is a convex, the lateral border it is a convex. Here we will discussing the other specimen which is the kidney specimen outside the body, and I will keep the into the anatomical position. It is directed downwards, forwards and laterally. Upper pole which is slightly broader as compared to the lower pole, and it is directed downwards and laterally, while the lateral axis which is downwards and laterally, and the long axis which is directed downwards and laterally. So the hilum, the structure, it has a kidney has a upper pole which is broader as compared to the lower pole, anterior surface which is convex as compared to the posterior surface which is flat or straight. It has a two border, outer border it is called the lateral border, it is convex, and this is the medial border which is the presence of the hilum. Hilum means there is a structure, either it goes inside or it come out from the any organ, it is called the hilum of the structures. And here there is a structure which is present inside the hilum anterior to the posterior. Most anteriorly you can see this is the renal vein, it is a thin wall. After then there is a renal artery, and most posteriorly the structure it is from goes downwards. Normally it is the pelvis, and this is the continuous as a ureter. So anterior to the posterior structure inside the kidney, for the site determination you have to keep you have to keep the hilum on the medial aspect. Hilum on the medial aspect, and structure are the anterior to posterior vein, artery and pelvis. Vein, renal artery and renal pelvis, or it continues as a ureter, and always ureter goes downwards, you have to keep downwards. Normally it is difficult to differentiate the surface, but ideally into the anterior surface which is more convex than the posterior surface, you have to remember. So, and this is the lateral border, always convex, and there is no hilum, it is a continuous and it is convex, and the medial border which is concave due to the presence of the hilum. So this is the external features of the kidney. Covering of the kidney from inner to outer side. The first layer it is called the fibrous capsule. Fibrous condensations of the stroma of the kidney, it covers the kidney entirely and lying to the wall of the kidney, as well as renal sinuses. This is called the renal sinuses. Internally it is called the renal sinuses. So it covered to the wall as well as the renal sinuses. It is a condensation of the fibrous stroma of the kidney, and it covers to the major and minor calyces as well as the pelvis of the ureter. And in living person it is easily stripped off. Outer to it there is another layer, it is called the perirenal fat. Here we have removed the perirenal fat for the better visualization of the kidney. Next to fibrous capsule it is a perirenal fat. It is covered to the fibrous capsule and fill up with the fat which is fill up on the both the border. It is more abundant perirenal fat. It is along with the both the border, medial and lateral border, both the border there is a more perirenal fat as compared to the surface. Outer to this there is a one covering, it is called the renal fascia, or it is called the fascia zerota. It consists of the anterior fascia, it is called the fascia torn, and posterior fascia, it is called the fascia Zucker-Kandel. Renal fascia, it is the condensation of the extraperitoneal tissue. Superiorly, both the fascia which is completely anterior layer and posterior layer which is continuously covered to the at the upper pole which is fused, and again which cover to the suprarenal gland, and then it becomes continuous as a subdiaphragmatic fascia. It becomes continuous as a subdiaphragmatic fascia. So it is a superior extension of the renal fascia. Inferiorly, both the fascia which is retained separate and it covers to the ureter. Here you can see this is a ureter. Inferiorly it not fused, two layers remain separate and it finally cover to the ureter, and it becomes continuous as a extraperitoneal tissue of the iliac fossa anteriorly and fascia iliaca posteriorly. Anteriorly it continues as a extraperitoneal tissue of the fascia iliac fascia extraperitoneal tissue of the iliac fossa anteriorly and the fascia iliaca posteriorly. Laterally, both the layer, anterior layer, Todd layer, and the Zuckerkandl layers both are fused, and it becomes continuous as a laterally. It becomes continuous as a fascia transversalis. It becomes continuous as a fascia transversalis, and medially, the anterior layer which is goes anterior to the great vessels, mainly this is the aorta, and on that side this is the inferior vena cava. It continues over the great vessels to the opposite side. It is continuous with the opposite side, and some book it is mentioned at which is merged with the aorta and inferior vena cava. And posterior layer which is goes behind to it, and it is covering to the medially it covers to the quadratus lumborum, and then it is fascia covering to the psoas major, and it is merged with the fascia of the psoas major. So this is about to the renal fascia. I will show you inside the book. Here you can see this is the midline, this is the vertebra, and this is the left side of the kidney. Here you can see this is the kidney, and this is the renal fascia, blue color. This is the anterior layer. It is the, and this is the posterior layer. Anterior layer it is called the fascia Todd, and posterior layer it is called the Zuckerkandl. And this both fuse on the laterally, and it becomes merged with the fascia transversalis, and it becomes continues as a fascia transversalis. Medially, the fascia anterior layer which is goes anterior to the great vessels, inferior vena cava and aorta, but and it is merged with the opposite side of the anterior layer of the fascia. And some book it is mentioned it is merged with the great vessels, inferior vena cava and aorta. And the posterior layer which is covers to the quadratus lumborum muscles, and then it is merged with the psoas fascia covering to the psoas major muscles. So this is the medial and lateral tracing of the renal fascia. Here the renal fascia superiorly it is fused, and then it becomes separated, and it covers to the posterior layer which is goes posterior to the suprarenal gland, and anterior layer goes to the anterior layer of the suprarenal gland, and it becomes continuous as a subdiaphragmatic fascia. And inferiorly the fascia which is not fused, and it is covered to the ureters, and the anterior fascia it is becomes the extraperitoneal connective tissue of the fascia iliaca, and posteriorly it is the continuous as a fascia iliaca of the covering to the fascia iliaca. So this is about to the tracings of the renal fascia. Outer to this renal fascia, there is a once again there is a posteriorly there is a very abundant amount of the fat, and this fat which is this fat it is mainly lies on the posteriorly. It is the pararenal fat which is abundant, and it makes the cushion for the kidney. So it is the most outer layer. So there are four layers. first layer which is the around to the kidney, it is the first layer which is around to the kidney, it is the this covering, it is called the fibrous capsule, it is called the fibrous capsule. And outer to the fibrous capsules there is a perinephric fat, this is the perinephric fat. Just inner to the renal fascia, it is the and outer to the kidney or fibrous capsule, this fat, it is called the perinephric fat. And outer to the perinephric fat there is a capsule, it is called the renal fascia, and outer to the renal fascia there is a pararenal fat, and it makes the mainly it is on the posterior aspect, and it makes the cushion for the kidney. So these are the covering of the kidney. Relations of the left kidney, this is the left side. Anteriorly it is related with the left suprarenal gland. Here you can see this is the left suprarenal gland on the upper and medial aspect, and there is a also presence of the second part of the duodenum. Here you can see this duodenum, which is not second part, but it is related with the left suprarenal gland, and then it is related with the spleen. Here you can see this is related on the lateral aspect, it is related with the spleen, and also there is it is related with the pancreas. This is the pancreas, and it is related with the stomach, and there is a left colic flexor of the transverse colon. So, and some aspect of the jejunum into the lower aspect. So the kidney anteriorly, left kidney, which is covered by the most upper and medially there is a left suprarenal gland, and upper and left side there is a spleen. Below to it there is a covering of the pancreas, and below to it there is a stomach, and there is a jejunum, and left colic flexor of the transverse colon, left colic flexor of the transverse colon. So these are the relations of the anterior relations of the left kidney. On the right side into the upper and medial aspect, there is a right suprarenal gland. Upper side also there is a presence of the liver, inferior surface of the right lobe of the liver, and the lower side there is a right colic flexors of the right colic flexor of the transverse colon, second part of the duodenum, and so these are the relations and relations of the anterior surface of the right kidney. On the upper part, it is related with the inferior surface of the liver. Upper and medially, right suprarenal gland. On the medial aspect, this is the second part of the duodenum. Into the lower part, it is related with the hepatic flexor of the right colon, and the coil of the jejunum, which is related with the right kidney. Posterior relation nearly same. There are three nerves you have to remember. This is the first nerve, this is the subcostal, iliohypogastric, and this is the ilioinguinal nerve. These are the three nerves which is related on the both side, right and left sides, inside the kidney. Posterior relations. The muscles are the medially, most medially psoas major. This is a psoas major. Lateral to it is the quadratus lumboris, and lateral to it is the transverse abdominis muscles. Three muscles: psoas major, quadratus lumboris, and transverse abdominis muscles. So posteriorly three muscle and three nerve we already discussed. Also there is a presence of the this is the left side, left crus of the diaphragm on the medial aspect. Here you can see this is the medial arcuate ligament. This is the medial arcuate ligament of the diaphragm. This is the lateral arcuate ligament. Here you can see this is the lateral arcuate ligament, and just below to the lateral arcuate ligament there is a presence of the lateral arcuate ligament. There is a presence of the subcostal nerve which is emerging from the lateral arcuate ligament, and on the left side there is a presence of the 11th and 12th rib, because it is slightly higher, and on the right side only the only there is a 12th rib which is posteriorly related. So you have to remember the posterior relations of the both the kidney on the posterior side. Three muscles: psoas major, quadratus lumboris, and transverse abdominis muscles. And there is a three nerves. Most upper one, this is the subcostal, iliohypogastric, and ilioinguinal nerve. These are the three nerves. And medial arcuate ligament of the diaphragm, this is the lateral arcuate ligament of the diaphragm. Just below to the lateral arcuate ligament, there is a subcostal nerve and vessels which is passes. So these are the structure related on the posterior side of the kidney. Posterior side of the kidney. Now the blood supply of the kidney, which is derived from the branches from the aorta, it is a renal artery. Here you can see this is a renal artery. This is a renal artery, and it is coming from the lateral branches of the aorta. So it is a blood supply, venous drainage by the renal vein, and how the artery which is segmented inside the kidney. I will show you. Here you can see I will take the section, and when we will take the section, you can see there are portion of the kidney. Renal artery, it becomes continuous as a here you can see this is the renal artery. It becomes segmental artery before it enter inside the kidney. It is the segmental artery. Then segmental artery, it becomes continuous as a segmental artery. It becomes continuous as a lobar artery, and this lobar artery it divide into the two dichotomously, or it becomes the arcuate artery, and it becomes continuous as a arcuate artery, and it is the end artery, and then it becomes the interlobular artery, and then becomes the afferent lobules. It is a microscopic structure, we cannot see. So arcuate artery, here up to the arcuate, this is a segmental, and this is a interlobar segmental. Then this is a segmental, and this is a lobar artery, and this lobar artery divide into the arcuate artery and interlobular artery, and then afferent arterioles, then efferent arterioles, and then peritubular plexus, and it return to the vein by the interlobular vein, then arcuate vein, then interlobar vein, then lobar vein, then it becomes the renal veins. So here you can see this is the cut section taken from the transverse section from the kidney. Grossly we can see this is the outer margin, it is called the cortex, and inner margin, inner side, it is called the medulla. And this is called the pyramid of the renal medulla. These are the pyramid of the renal medulla. These are the pyramid of the renal medulla, and in between there is a renal columns. In between there is a presence of the renal columns, and this is the end. It is called the renal papilla. End of the renal pyramid. It is the end of the pyramid. It is called the renal papilla, and just inner to the papilla there is a sinuses of the renal sinuses, you can see. So this is the gross structure of the kidney. About the whatever you can see from your naked eye. We have not discussed the microscopic structure of the kidney. Venous drainage to the into the renal vein, and lymphatic drainage. Here you can see these are the lymph nodes, abundant on the para-aortic lymph node. It is mainly drained into the lateral aortic lymph node, and now supply by the sympathetic by the T10 to L1. It is a vasomotor and supplies to the juxtaglomerular cells, and parasympathetic which is supplied by the vagus nerve. So this is about to the nerve supply of the kidney. Some clinical aspect of the kidney. Developmental anomaly. There is a kidney which is not developed, then it is called the agenesis. And if it is both side which is not developed, unilateral or bilateral, whenever there is a bilateral agenesis, at that time normally the baby cannot survive. So it is a bilateral agenesis. Another most common the kidney disease, it is a kidney stone. There is a stone which is formed inside the kidney, either inside the kidney, either inside the anywhere inside the remain inside the ureter, or it may be inside the urinary bladder. So kidney stone, it is the most common. Another thing, there is sometimes both the kidney, right and left kidney, which are fused from the lower end, both are fused from the lower end. Then both the kidney which is fused from its lower end, then it is called the horse's kidney. And normally this horse's kidney which lead to, there is a midline structure, mainly the aorta and inferior vena cava, which is compressed. So horse's kidney, whenever the kidney which is joined from the midline, it is called the pancake kidney. Sometimes there is a developmentally defect of the kidney. There is a secretory and collecting part of the kidney which is not united. It is called the polycystic kidney. So renal agenesis, polycystic kidney, there is a kidney stone, and sometimes there is also the kidney, due to the loss of fat, the kidney visceroptosis which occurs, the spleen kidney which goes downwards. At that time we can renal fascia, we can tie it with the neighboring any fascia, mainly the thoracolumbar fascia, and we keep the kidney into the positions. So these are the clinical anatomy of the kidney. And another thing, renal angle, it is the there is a posteriorly there is an angle between the 12th rib and erector spinae muscles. It is called the renal angle, and mostly we expose the kidney from the posterior aspect. Which are the structure we can cut the kidney to visualize the to reach up to the kidney for the any approach to remove the stone or any tumor inside the kidney. So from the superficially there is a skin, superficial fascia, and then posterior layer of the thoracolumbar fascia. Along with it there is a latissimus dorsi muscles, and then reach to the erector spinae and remove the erector spinae. Then it reach to the middle layer of the thoracolumbar fascia. Then we reach up to the cut the quadratus lumborum and anterior layer of the thoracolumbar fascia. This quadratus lumborum, which is covered by the anterior layer of the thoracolumbar fascia, and we can reach to the kidney because it is the retroperitoneal organs. So we reach the kidney from the posterior aspect. Whenever we can keep the any incision over the always into the at the 12th ribs or 12 below to the 12th ribs. You have to remember sometimes there is absence of the 12th rib. At that times we can careful about to injury to the pleura. So when we expose the kidney from the posterior aspect, we have to take in mind there is absence of the 12th rib, and we have to take the precautions of the pleura to prevent the injury to the pleura. So this is about to the clinical aspect of the kidney. Once again I will tell you the site determination. Our main aim for the site determination of the kidney, it is left. This is the left side of the kidney. It has a two surface, anterior surface and posterior surface. It has a two pole, upper pole and lower pole. Upper pole slightly broader than the lower pole. The structure inside the kidney, always you have to remember anterior to posterior. I will show you here. This is a left renal vein. This is a left renal vein, and you can see this is open inside the inferior vena cava, which crosses to the aorta, because the left renal inferior vena cava lies on the right side as compared to the left side. So this is the vein. It lies most anteriorly. Behind to it there is a renal artery, Here you can see this is the behind to its renal artery, and most posteriorly there is a ureter, and ureter always goes downwards, you have to remember. So kidney has a two surface, anterior surface which is convex, posterior surface which is flat, and the hilum which is lies medially, you have to, it is towards the vertebral, and the lateral border which is convex. Hilum, always there are three structure anterior to the posterior: renal vein, renal artery, renal vein, then renal artery, and most posteriorly there is a ureter. Upper pole which is slightly broader than the lower pole, and medial border which is concave, and there is a presence of hilum, and lateral border which is convex. So our main aim to site determinations of the kidney. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the kidney lectures.